Hello and welcome to the United Stand. About 25 years ago, there used to be a club called Liverpool. They went into decline. They never came back. Manchester United went into a decline when they signed Louis van Gaal as manager. And this summer, we're just breaking their world transfer record for Paul Pogba. That's what a big club is. Winter is here. Winter has come. We've won the Community Shield as well. We will be talking about Rooney, what's going on with Mkhitaryan, lots of a weird result in many ways, but we're going to start off with Pogba. I've got Joey, Alex, and Chris as a new guest on, so welcome to the United Stand for him. Welcome to everybody on the live comments box. Drop us a like, give us your thoughts during the show. But I'm trying to think who's been the most negative about Pogba not signing, well, let's just throw Alex under the bus straight away because he wants to talk about Lingard's goal because he's his biggest fan anyway. But we'll prevent that. I think he put you in your place with your shirt in a bin stuff, but Pogba deal, happy about it?
This is what I don't understand about first touching on the Lingard thing. I wear a Lingard shirt. Look, back of the shirt, Lingard. I've always rated him from day one.
You've only just put that on.
He ever came from, but in terms of Pogba, I always try to just take the view of I'll expect the worst, and then if the best happens, then that's absolutely brilliant. I was absolutely shocked that all the rumours. We all saw obviously the medical rumours and everything, but then they were all saying that we have to wait until Monday for obviously the New York Stock Exchange and everything. So it seemed really weird that we announced the Pogba deal literally 1 minute before the team lineup came out for the Community Shield game. So I was thinking that maybe they just did it to soften the blow of the fact that we were starting Fellaini and Lingard in a game that most people would think that we would be playing our main team in. But in terms of Pogba, Jose's even basically confirmed it as well in the post-match preview, and I just can't get over it. It's an absolutely unreal signing. I don't give a shit about how much we pay. I know some United fans are saying that it's not worth the money and everything, but who cares? We a few years ago we had fucking an overaged Darren Fletcher and Tom Cleverley in midfield, and now we're signing Pogba. I don't care if he used to play for us because it's Fergie that sold him. It wasn't Jose.
Yeah, we've still got Fellaini playing in our midfield, which we'll come to in a moment. Baffling in itself. But Chris, new member of the team. I don't know where you stand on the Pogba thing, so by all means let us know. But also, how have we done this? How have we pulled this deal off? No Champions League football. Terrible football for 2 years, let him go for nothing, breaking the world transfer record. How have Manchester United managed to do this?
Well, personally, I think that, with Paul Pogba, I mean, they say he's not worth 100 million. Well, to be honest, in retrospective, no player is worth 40 million, 50 million. If you look at it like that, you realise that in football terms, we haven't got Champions League. We have finished 4th, 5th, and 7th. We haven't exactly performed very well anyway. So to be honest, we're going to have to pay over the odds since what you were saying before. And Paul Pogba, he's a world-class star. We're going to get a world-class player in the United team. For me personally, I'd pay 200 million. I mean, the Glazers have got the money. We have so much money in terms of marketing, the commercial side. We're literally swimming in the money. And when you get a player like Pogba that wants to play for United, he does love United, then sign him up. I mean, he wants to come. It's going to be great.
No, I think it's positivity all the way. I've been saying winter is coming for a long time, Joey. What is the how to put it? What does this mean for Manchester United from now? Do you think it's the tip of the iceberg and we'll never do it again, or do you feel that, like I do, that there's been a shift in the world powers? I know some United fans. It has dragged on for a while, but I think United have been comfortable in that because they've known it was going to happen. It was a process, and maybe in the past the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid would muscle in, but they never have done. They've never been at the table because we went and put a big pile on it, and they can't put that pile on either. So, do you think this is a global shift towards the Premier League where Manchester United will be the top of the tree, or do you think Madrid and Barcelona will come back?
Well, it's an interesting one. I don't know how it works out in Spain, with their TV deal. I know for a while that those two were getting the biggest piece of the pie, but I think in terms of United, they've had the money for a while now. Now they're starting to spend it. They realize that, they don't have there'll never be a Fergie again who can take, Tom Cleverley and a Darren Fletcher midfield and win the league. So I think they realize that they have to spend. I think this is going to be the new norm, though. I think United are going to be looking for superstars every year. What they've done this transfer window is incredible. They've signed three of the best players in their positions in the world. You know, Paul Pogba, best center mid, Mkhitaryan around the right, and Zlatan, even at his age, is still one of the best strikers around. And I expect United will look to break the world record transfer fee again, maybe with Griezmann next year. You never know, but I could see that happening.
Yeah, definitely. I think Griezmann is somebody that United would be interested in, and I suspect we will have a gap, quite a big gap, when Rooney leaves next summer. But Bay was solid today, says Ace6479. Zindine Zebran says it's 89 million, which is still bigger than the Pogba deal, the Bale deal, isn't it? Manchester United 96. Pogba is a great marketing asset, so he'll make the money back. I think, as Chris and many of us have said, it doesn't really matter. Manchester United have got money to spend. We're not borrowing. This is all revenue that we're spending. So spend it. We're a football club. Spend the money on players. Faisal still wants Draxler, and he wants Fellaini and Januzaj out. I think Januzaj is yesterday's news and well and truly gone. 89 million for Pogba is a bargain, says El Diago. Darmian not even making the bench yet. We'll talk about that. Ryu says Mark Pogba's leaving New York now. I thought we already had. I thought he was having a medical at Manchester this afternoon. Rooney shouldn't be starting, Mickey should instead. Okay, before we go on to the Rooney stuff, and there's a lot to get onto, I'm just going to go through everybody about this. Alex, where would you play Pogba in a Manchester United side?
I guess that there'll be calls for him to play at number 10, but if I was to be running the team, I would play him at centre mid. But we have to, if I was to have been signing the players, I would have signed Pogba. Obviously, as the box to box now, I would have signed Kante, but obviously we lost Kante out to Chelsea. But so with this team, I would play Pogba at centre mid, and then because Jose always plays a 4-2-3-1, so I would play Pogba box to box, and then Schneiderlin next to him. But from how he played the team today, I really think that if you're going into the Charity Shield, some people do make excuses saying that, oh yeah, it's a pre-season, blah blah blah. But you would think that he would have played his team that you're expecting against Bournemouth, which really worries me when Fellaini and Carrick are lining up, which I don't even mind Carrick that much, but I would play Pogba and Schneiderlin.
Yeah, okay. There's just a great comment here from Ivan DRZ. Honestly, can see United getting relegated this season. Yeah, keep taking the pills, mate. Chris, where would you play Pogba? And, as Alex has said there, who would you play him with?
I would actually agree with Alex, except I would play him with Herrera. I would like to have Herrera alongside Pogba. Feeding into Rooney would then obviously feed out to the wings to Mkhitaryan, Martial, who would then give obviously a great bit of feed to Ibrahimovic. I mean, I think any team sheet looking at Herrera, Pogba, Rooney, Martial, Mkhitaryan, Ibrahimovic, that would scare any team. So personally, yeah, I think that would be a great lineup.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to come to Joey in a moment, but Torrin Doyle says if £89 million for Pogba, it doesn't break the world record because Higuain does. I think Higuain was €90 million, unless I'm wrong, so it still breaks it. We better bloody break it. Just chuck a few more million on. I want to break the world transfer record. That's the whole point. And Tox Kazim says, I admit my beloved captain was horrible, talking about Rooney. We will get on to Rooney. It was really interesting doing the watch-along today because it was absolutely a torrent of abuse against him. And Mank Red Gaming says Carrick needs to retire. Well, I'm going to be honest about Carrick later as well. I'm a big fan of his, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Joey, where and who would you play Pogba with?
I agree with you. I would play him with Carrick. I would play Carrick at the 6. I would play Pogba a bit further forward as number 8, and I would play Herrera in a midfield 3. I think Rooney needs dropping. The sooner the better. And then in the big games, like we've talked about, where he might go a little bit defensive, I would play Pogba at the 10 with Schneiderlin and Carrick.
Yeah, well, I would. It's interesting. We'll get onto this in a minute. I would still go with what Joey's saying as well. I'd still go Carrick holding with Pogba box to box, and I would probably put I think it's time for Mkhitaryan at number 10, which feeds nicely in. But I will be talking about. I think another problem that presented itself today, I think, is defensive midfield. I'm slightly concerned about that, but maybe reading too much into it. But Rooney, certainly not. It's about to go off on the live comments, I'm sure. What I would say is that I was quite restrained on the watch along today about Rooney. But for those who didn't see it and the guests as well, it was constant. You know, we had a couple of thousand people watching, and it was Rooney's this, that, and the other, absolute pelters at him. What I would say is, for those who have not watched the last pre-season games, I've said that number 10 is the most important position in our team. It feeds Zlatan, Martial, and Lingard. If the number 10 doesn't perform, they don't perform, and they didn't really perform today. Rooney's short-term passing is crap, and his control is awful, and it has been for 2 games. He can't do it, so he can't feed those 2. It's a massive, massive problem, whatever you think of Rooney. However, I've not started with the hate or anything like that, because I tell you what, I just don't think he's going to get dropped. I don't even think Jose will do it, because the press will go mad. He's a massive, massive power broker within the United dressing room still. I can't see it's going to happen. I think it's a problem if he doesn't sort it out, because I think it will drag us down. But I'll go the other way back this time, Joey. What's your thoughts on Rooney? I presume you watched the game. How long do we stick with him? Do you think he'll turn it round? You're on mute.
Yeah.
My
computer. Yeah, my computer's having a problem. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's going to be interesting, because I was just thinking about last year at Chelsea. You know, the Chelsea fans begging him to drop Ivanovic, and he wouldn't do it. And you know, Ivanovic was really poor. So I agree with you that the number 10 is a very important position for us. I think eventually he's going to have to drop Rooney, especially if it's starting to affect, you know, outcomes of the game. But I don't think he'll have any problem doing it. I hope he doesn't pay mind to the press. I hope he just, you know, does his thing. So yeah, I mean, I would drop him, you know, within the first 2 games. He was horrible today. His first touch was off. You know, he had a few shots that were right at the keeper. Didn't really threaten. He just looks past it now.
As for the last 2 years, he's been consistently 5 or 6 out of 10. I'd struggle to give him a 6 today. Maybe that'd be generous. But his passing was off. Jason Braithwaite, Rooney was weak. And a very good point. He was very poor in the tackle. Doesn't have a game anymore, says Don Simon. I don't know about that. Rooney doesn't deserve one more championship before he moves on, says John Solaris. I can't see us winning a championship if we persist him. I don't know what your thoughts are on Rooney, Chris. Chris, can you hear us?
Me.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, sorry. No, to be fair, I think Rooney's done. Rooney is done. He's had his day. He's served the club. You know, he's done wonders for the club. But you know, I've never witnessed a player in such decline that has been getting game after game after game. It seems as if he is like a country favourite, where you cannot drop this player unless you get the backlash from it. I think that he needs to be dropped. I mean, you got to look for the club. You've got to look to the future. He's had his day. He is not a number 10 anymore. You know, we need to get other fresh players in those positions warming up. He seems to be taking it away from a lot of players that could play in that position. Even Rashford could play as a number 10. I think. Even just behind Ibrahimovic. But I think Rooney, he's in such a decline. I think he's in denial, or he's not even at least speaking to Jose Mourinho, saying, you know what, I'm not as good as I used to be. Take me off after this, 70 minutes or so. He's in denial, and he needs to be taken off. And I think someone needs to make that decision, because I've never witnessed in the Premier League a player in such decline to get so much game time.
You've obviously not watched Gerrard much, but Rooney is shot to bits, says Jesse Lingard. You make 2 very good points there, Chris. I think one of them was that I watched him when we were lifting the trophy and on the pitch, and he's oblivious. I mean, I know he's earning 300 grand a week, and he probably doesn't really care, but he's oblivious to how bad his form was today. He was happy to be picking up a shirt. He was shaking Zlatan's hand like he'd contributed to it. I don't know. Maybe he just lives a world where everyone tells him great. I don't know. But the important thing is, because Acton, there's always the Rooney Brigade are amazing. I mean, he's very lucky to have them, because they are just loyal to the nth degree. And Acton's saying, actually, shut up, Rooney is quality. Better go to Specsavers, Acton. But Chris made a very good point. Rooney has been a fantastic servant. That's what Wednesday was all about. His first few years when Ronaldo came on and Ronaldo was better than him and he was put out on the left wing and he worked for the team. He's done his work for Manchester United. No one's denying, well, I don't think anyone's having a problem with that. What we're saying is that everyone has their day, and potentially, I think a lot of fans are now thinking he's had his day, and regardless of what you've done for the club, when you decline, you go, and that's the thing. And Alex, I'm sure you're going to have your moment here, because I remember a year ago you said he was on the decline, and you got it wrong about Lingard, but you can have this one.
I was right about Lingard first off, but with Rooney, back in the Ronaldo days, I think he was absolutely brilliant. He may not have been as prolific as he was in later years, but his overall game was absolutely brilliant back then. And like even today, I guess he is bad. He was bad, but you can't really compare that much of pre-season because it doesn't really mean anything. But at the end of the day, like the big thing that I find with this team is that they weren't supplying Zlatan enough, and he still managed to score 2 out of 3 goals. And Rooney is on a similar ratio in that time. But he's never going to get dropped. We've talked on this show time and time and time again that we think that he has this thing in his contract from the David Moyes era that he has a clause in his contract that he's not going to get dropped because he needs to play a certain amount of games. And I still really think that's going to happen, because if you were to look on paper, a number 10 genuinely is like a creative player. And so we have the likes of Mkhitaryan and Juan Mata. If you are to stick with the likes of Jesse Lingard, yet we still play Rooney over Mata or Mkhitaryan, and I really don't understand how Mkhitaryan was even dropped today, but I'm sure we'll go onto that later on in the show. But I don't know, I think he's 100% finished as a number 9. As a 10, if he gets back into form, I think he could do a job, but I think we have better players that we could play there, so he's always going to hold the team back. But I think it's an irrelevant topic, to be fair, because I think we have to accommodate him, because the club is always going to want to accommodate him, but from a marketability standpoint.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not going to add anything more than that. I don't expect him to be dropped. I think it's a big problem for the club, but I don't think he'll be dropped. And if he doesn't sort his game out, he's going to cause a problem. I said 2 weeks ago, the only position he can play is number 10. Unfortunately for us, number 10 is the most important position in our attacking side, and he can't short pass and he can't control the ball. So, I mean, the amount of times he gave the ball away today, if he'd done something with that, we might have created chances. So I don't blame Martial for having a quiet game, Zlatan for having a quiet game, Lingard having a quiet game. I know they both, Lingard and Zlatan, scored, but they had quiet games with not many chances and not much of the ball because Rooney didn't feed them. Wilf Ugu says Robin van Persie was better when he left than Rooney. Well, I've said that so many times. But Joey, the lineup, I tweeted it out an hour before the lineup came out because somebody told me that Fellaini and Lingard were starting. I tweeted it, but I didn't think it was going to be true. It was true. What did you make of the lineup, and does that concern you at all?
Not for me. It didn't really concern me because I feel like Mourinho was treating this. He said it. I think it was his post-match interview. That he came out and said they had a bad preseason. They missed a game against City. Maybe the conditions weren't the best against Dortmund, and they just haven't had time to gel in terms of fitness and chemistry on the pitch. So it really didn't bother me too much. Obviously I don't want to see Fellaini starting in central midfield, especially when he gives away a back pass. I want to say I do like the way that Jose didn't throw him under the bus and he blamed the pitch for it. I enjoyed seeing that. But the lineup doesn't bother me because I think Jose treated it as a preseason game. I know there's a trophy at the end of it, but I think this was more about fitness. Certain players only played a certain amount. Martial had a quiet game, but he's only just come back really from his holidays. Most of the international players that made it late in the tournament. So it doesn't really bother me. I know Alex had said something about Mkhitaryan not starting. But I can't see him going out, buying this player, specifically targeting this player, and then dropping him, all of a sudden into the preseason. I expect him to start against Bournemouth. I expect a lot of the players today to start. Zlatan will start, Martial, Carrick. But we'll see where he goes with central midfield.
Cut you off quick. Why does that make sense then to drop someone that you're going to start in the next game if Zlatan had even less match preparation than Mkhitaryan? So why did he drop Mkhitaryan? I just don't understand it.
Well, didn't Mkhitaryan also play the first few games, 90 minutes? He played. He started the last game against Galatasaray, played a full 45 minutes. I just don't think he need. Maybe Mkhitaryan's further ahead than everyone else. Mkhitaryan was one of the first people in on the transfer window, very early on in July, I think it was. So I don't think he had too much of a holiday, and I think he got in, and I think he was training with the team. He's been training with the team since they've been back. Same thing with Herrera. So, I mean, for me, it doesn't bother me. It just makes no sense for him to drop our most creative, because Mkhitaryan's probably our most creative player, out wide or in the number 10 role. So that would literally make no sense.
It is interesting. I'll tell you what. If I was a betting man, I'd say Mkhitaryan's on the bench next week against Bournemouth, and I don't know really why I think that, but I do. Carrick fan is on the live comments. There was a fake Carrick fan on there before, so that's the real one who's on there for everybody who's on there. The lineup though, Chris. I mean, were you happy with it? Were there things about it that made you concerned?
No. It seemed to me it had shadows of LVG all over that lineup. I don't know. I mean, this for me was Jose Mourinho's time to present his team for the season and say, look, this is my stamp. This is what we've got. Come and get it. This is the United that you're going to be facing for the rest of the season. And for me, he seemed to have just sort of backed out a little bit and put a little bit of LVG on that. I mean, even the first 30 minutes or so, it did not seem like a Jose Mourinho team. It seemed a lot like LVG, where we were passing back, we were playing a lot of sideways football, and I thought to myself, is this a ploy? Is he going to come out in the second half, maybe put Mkhitaryan on, and go for it? But it just didn't happen. So I'm a little bit worried. I don't know, and I know it's a bit early to be worried, but I'm a bit worried whether or not what he's going to be doing for the season, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I think one of the things I was going to ask Alex about there really is the defensive midfield thing worried me today. That Carrick was poor, and we know he's on the decline, and I really like Carrick, and he will do a good job, but he was poor today. You've got Fellaini playing 90 minutes as a box-to-box midfielder and a defensive midfielder. You've got Schweinsteiger totally frozen out of the club, not even near the bench. Schneiderlin not really used. That concerns me. I tweeted it. I said, we saw today why Zlatan's a world-class player, and we saw today why Fellaini should be doing the project with Moyes up in Sunderland, because I don't get it. But it's yet another manager. It's yet another manager. No, he's not on the bench. He's in the first 11 again. How is this happening?
I said to my father and brother-in-law today, because I watched it in the pub with them, I was like, I don't get how when Moyes first signed Fellaini, we were all saying like, oh yeah, it's an absolute joke, I can't believe he did that. And then we're like, oh, now we've got a new manager, Louis van Gaal's come in, and we're not going to play Fellaini, we're going to sell him straight away. And then he made him as one of his main priorities. And now we've got rid of Louis van Gaal, so we're like, oh, Jose Mourinho, yeah. Now Fellaini's 100% getting sold. David Moyes went to Sunderland. He'll go to Sunderland, and 100% he'll play there. And now we're fucking playing Fellaini again. And my only hope is that please, when Pogba comes in, that he'll replace him. But like, Jose seems to be changing his like midfield partnership every single game, which is why it's so hard to tell. Like. Going into the Bournemouth game, Pogba 100%, even if he's signed, like let's say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, wherever he's signed, he's not going to be playing against Bournemouth, and he's not going to be playing the game after. His closest game that he's going to start in will be City, because that's our third game in. But I do not understand how Fellaini is still getting a game. It's fucking ridiculous. He's a decent player to bring on off the bench when you're losing and you need to just a physical presence to just hoof the ball up to. But it's just fucking ridiculous that he's still playing. Carrick. Me and you, Mark, are obviously huge Carrick fans, no pun intended. And I wouldn't even mind if Carrick is still playing in the first game going in. But it needs to be like the likes of Herrera, Carrick, Schneiderlin, someone like that. It cannot be Fellaini, because as we saw yet again, even taking his goal, taking his stupid, idiotic pass back to De Gea that just led to their goal out of the equation. He just can't pass the ball, and he's fucking terrible. I know he thinks that he's a holding midfielder, but he's terrible in that position.
No, Fellaini.
Can't wait to happen.
Oh, Chris. Sorry, Chris. Is he there? Yeah, so Fellaini's best position is number 10. It's number 10, and you're not a Man United number 10, so go. You're not a midfielder, so go. Craig Melville in the live comments is saying, why do you all care so much about Schweinsteiger? Well, it's quite simple. He's a World Cup winner. He's played for Bayern Munich all his career. He knows how to play as a midfielder, and we need a midfielder because we're playing Fellaini in there. And Carrick, who is on the decline. I'm baffled why we're forcing Schweinsteiger out of the club. But if we are forcing him out of the club, then play Schneiderlin or buy Matuidi. But we cannot be using Fellaini anywhere near the first team. I mean, to be honest, I'm going to say this, Joey, because there's something else I want to talk about as well. I felt today, and I think Chris picked up on it, I felt today, it's too early in the season to start talking about the way we're playing, but there were similarities with Van Gaal today. He could have been the man not stood on the side because he never did that, sat on the side colouring in, but it was very similar, very boring, not many chances created. But the thing that stood out for me was Jose said when he started, ideal in specialists. And then today, you've got Valencia at right back, he's not a right back. You've got Blind at centre back, he's not really a centre back. You've got Mata coming on and playing the right midfield, he's not a right midfielder. You know, you've got Fellaini playing defensive midfield, he's not a defensive midfielder. You could say you've got Rooney playing as number 10, he's not even a footballer anymore. But there's a lot of square pegs, round holes, which disappointed me because it sort of feeds into what I was going to say next. Is that it for Darmian? Is that it for Memphis? Is that it for, we know Schweinsteiger and Januzaj probably is. But, you know, these are specialists, especially Darmian.
Yeah, I think this is my personal point of view, and, you guys could be completely right and I could be completely wrong, but I just think we're reading too much into it. I think it's a preseason game, for me. He has his 22, 23 players. Yes, this window has been great with the 4 signings, but I think it's still going to take another transfer window to build the squad and put his mark on it. I think Darmian definitely has a future. I think people got a little too overexcited with Valencius, with his 3 assists against Galatasaray.
Got another one today.
Yeah. And then, talking about Blind's not going to be anywhere near the starting 11, I don't think. That'll be Smalling and Bailly right from the beginning, hopefully. And like I said, I just think we're reading too much into it. I think we need to wait a few weeks, see how it pans out. I agree. And I was going through the comments today, just now. Some of the people alluded to, this was the only reason we were here today was because of Louis van Gaal. And maybe it was a nod to Louis van Gaal playing Carrick and Fellaini, Lingard, Valencia at right back. So, yeah, I mean, it could be a nod to him, and hopefully it is, because I don't ever want to see Fellaini playing in central midfield. We have a club in Sunderland that wants to buy him. 10, 12, 15 million, not a bad deal. Just cut your losses and take it. But I agree with the Schweinsteiger thing, because I think we're going to get bit in the ass. If Schneiderlin doesn't perform, Carrick's on the decline, then we don't really have a defensive midfielder in there. And I think, when with a player like Schweinsteiger, who's already at the club, he's already well liked in the dressing room. He's a leader. You got to keep him. I don't know. But that's another thing. I can't see Bayern Munich buying him back. I know there's a rumor about that. And then you look around, like, where could he really go? I hope, and I don't want him to retire. So it's an interesting one. But I hope we keep him.
I think based on today's performance, Schweinsteiger couldn't have done much worse than the 2 defensive midfielders we were playing. And I include Carrick in that. He wasn't good today. Aditya says a status on Chris Smalling. He can't play against Bournemouth, so it was right not to play him today. It will be Blind and Bailly, which surprises me because Jose's always been big on having 2 experienced centre-backs, and we haven't really got one at the moment. Sigari says there's a few people back in Valencia saying he's really good. You know what? I don't jump on bandwagons. Valencia has had 4 assists in their pre-season. Probably the only 4 he's had in about a decade because he's been awful at crossing for a long time, and Jose deserves applause for that. But
they just cut you off for 2 seconds just to say about how you're talking about like centre-backs and stuff, but how can we do a little like mini topic on how good Bailly was today, and he got man of the match?
Well, it's on my list, so wait.
Oh, okay, sorry. Ignore me. Carry on.
So for me, a right back is a right back. Their first job is to defend. Alex was on a Varela loving last year, and I said he might be better than Darmian going forward, but Darmian's a better right back. You play Valencia all season as your right back, and you watch what happens. He'll cost us about 4 or 5 goals with his positional sense, which is dreadful. He's all effort, and he's doing really well. But should Manchester United be about a right back who isn't a right back and is all effort? No, not for me. We should have a specialist right back I think we'll be signing Fabinho anyway. But go to you, Chris. Memphis, Darmian, not on the bench today. There was somebody else who wasn't on the bench. Phil Jones, he can go. But more specifically, Memphis. Do you think? I don't think we'll sell him. But what do you think's in store for him? Do you think he's just far down the pecking order now?
I've got a feeling personally that Mourinho has got a plan. I think he's waiting. I think he knows his best 11. He knows what he's going to be doing for the season. I think he's seen what Memphis can do. He's seen what all these other players can do, and I really am hoping that he's put this team out today to basically show everyone and fool everyone into thinking this is going to be the Man United team that are going to be playing for the season, and then all of a sudden, as soon as we kick off against Bournemouth, he's going to bring out this annihilation of a team in terms of Ibrahimovic, Mkhitaryan. He's going to get, Darmian, even Fosun Mensah, all these players in their positions and just shock everyone to pieces. And I really do think Jose Mourinho has got this up his sleeve. Obviously, watching today was a bit, disconcerting, watching how the team played. But I really do think Mourinho has got a card up his sleeve, and he knows the best team he's got out and the best 11 that he's got available. And Memphis, I think, is actually a part of that. I think Memphis is going to be one of those players where, he's going to switch around, maybe Mkhitaryan, Martial, bring Memphis on about the 50th minute, a bit of speed, a bit of pace that could break teams down that are defending quite a bit. I think that it's in place. I think Mourinho does know, but I think obviously watching this game today, it's debatable, but I think it's there. It's there to be taken.
I hope you're right. I really like the sound of that theory. Although I'm sure I heard last week somebody saying that Jose had said that the team he plays in this final will pretty much be his team for Bournemouth. So I hope not, but I hope your theory is right. B. Reed says Valencia is the best Ecuadorian right back in the world. Stop knocking him. Yeah, that says a lot. But Alex, I will give you the Bailly question then. I haven't been critical of him. I think some people were. He was landslide man of the match on our live comments from the watch along. He was my man of the match as well. What I've said about him is he's going to make some absolute howlers because he's young and he's inexperienced in the Premier League and he's raw. And I remember Vidic and Evra when they were signed and they took 6 months and they were really, not crap, but they made a lot of mistakes and they went on to be world class. You've got to give Bailly that time. He makes a lot of last-ditch tackles, which, for me, is the Scott Parker effect. Carrick doesn't make last-ditch tackles because he's positionally right. Scott Parker does, and it makes him look better because he's not in the right position in the first place. And I saw a lot of that with Bailly today, but he made the recovery tackles, and he will learn, and he is better than Smalling on the ball, and he is strong, and he likes to get involved physically. He's got everything to be a good Premier League player. We really need him at the moment because there isn't anybody else. But I think he'll make mistakes.
Yeah, I was watching the game in a pub in Birmingham with my brother and father-in-law. So
you've told us that 4 times.
Huh?
You've told us that 4 times already.
It was actually leading into what I'm saying because Villa game was on at the side. So because of the fact it was in Birmingham, the Villa game was having the whole commentary. So I saw that the.
Did Villa win?
Huh?
Did Villa win?
No, I think they lost 1-0 in the last minute. But anyway,
I work with a load of Villa fans.
I was just saying that was a little side point, just because of the sound was off on the Man United game because it was on in the Villa game, and that they analysed Bailly at half time, and I did see that he got mugged off by Vardy at one point, but after he got mugged off, he made the most sick recovery tackle that I've seen from a United defender in quite a few years, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant. And the thing is that he looks so damn good, but he's also so raw that, like you just said, he's very, very liable to make mistakes. But he needs someone good next to him to hold him out. And I don't know if Smalling is the person that is gonna be the one to bring him to the next level, because it would be completely different if he had Rio or Vidic or someone next to him. But like we've talked on this show so many times, you don't really have defenders like that anymore. And it's like Jose said, Bailly did very well today, considering he had he said that because he had Lynn next to him, and that he didn't have Smalling next to him, acting as if Smalling's this absolute stalwart at the back. But from what he did, he was absolutely brilliant. And I think he could become a brilliant defender, but we're just not going to know. I don't know if he's going to be that good with Smalling next to him, because I've said in the past with Smalling that he's just looks shaky when teams run at him, because Louis van Gaal played his teams that they play like a static, passing side to side to side the whole time, and it just makes any defender look good. So we'll see. I do have faith in him, but we'll see.
Bay is going to be ecstatic that Alex Adams has got faith in him. Cole Kay says he did pick up a very stupid yellow. We knew that about him from Spain, that he picks up a lot of yellow cards, but we just put that down to being young and reckless. Alex, stop saying like, says, I didn't notice that he has. Will Collett rather play blind with Bay than Smalling? You won't win the league that way, Will. And
Can I just say that I would completely agree with that, and as things stand, I would rather play Bay with blind as well.
J-Ax says Bay better than Smalling. I think that I'm going to go to Chris because he's going to jump in. I don't get the Smalling hate. I don't get it. I get where Alex is coming from in a certain extent, that he has been a bit shaky. But over the last 2 years, he's kept himself fit. He's been really solid at our centre back, and I think Jose will take him up to another level. I don't know what you were going to say, Chris.
So is this about Bailey? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, personally, I think, at the start, I was a bit worried. I saw him make a few rash tackles that I thought, hang on a minute, this is going to be another flop on our hands, but he recovered really well. I thought that he has a lot of potential ahead of him, but what, like you were saying, that he needs is a partner like a Vidic, like a Ferdinand that can, show a bit of experience. We need, even if we wrap up this Pogba deal, we need to find a central defender that can actually have experience and teach these younger people. Smalling, if Smalling gets injured, who are we going to have left, realistically, to lead the line at the back? I mean, we're going to have, Blind, Jones, Valencia, Shaw. I mean, these are really young players, and if they're not young, they're inexperienced in the positions that they've been put into. We need to have someone that can fit into that position, that's been doing it for years and years on end, and that can actually, teach these younger players how to improve. And that's what I'm worried about, is we're relying a lot on Smalling being fit. And once he is injured, I think that we have got no backup other than a lot of youth players. And and we saw what happened last season with that. And, it's either going to pay off really well, or it's going to be another LBG where we're going to end up fifth. So, we need to get that position covered.
No, I agree with you. Interestingly enough, Vermaelen's gone from Barcelona to Roma. Roma's got the centre-back I want, Manolas. I'm clutching at straws. He would be the one I'd go for. Daniel Black Music says, stop bullying Alex. Didn't know where we were. But then he says, keep bullying Fellaini. And then Wilf says, message from Madrid, we're freezing. It's winter. Joey, the Bournemouth game is next week. I don't think that's going to be very easy at all. I think Bournemouth, it's their cup final, obviously, first game of the season. I think they'll all be all over us like a rash. In a way, I think Leicester was quite a good preparation for that, which again is why I think that a lot of those players who started will start today. It's sort of two questions in one, really, because I wanted to ask everybody this, being as it's the first Sunday show before the season starts now, the Sunday show before the season starts. Where do you think we're going to finish in the league, and how do you think we're going to start the league? Do you think it's going to be, I've said this so many times about Jose, he'll break the league up, he'll go look at that Bournemouth game and he'll say, we need 3 points. He might look at Tottenham away and go, well, 3 points would be nice, but we need at least a point from that. And he'll break it up over a season as to how you get the points to win the league. I'm not convinced he's going to be able to do that with United, because I'm not convinced we'll have a great start. I think we'll get there, but I'm not convinced we will. What are your thoughts?
I think we'll know a lot after the first game. I think if we come out and we win that first game, then we might be able to kick on and start the season really well. But if he struggles in the first game, obviously the transfer window will still be open, so he can still address the problem. Where do I think we're going to finish in the league? I think we'll finish, as things stand right now, top 2. But that's also, I expect City to spend more, bring in Stones. Arsenal now have to go out and buy a center back. I wanted to revert to Chris's point about if Smalling gets injured. I still think United are in the market for an experienced center back, and the name that's being floated around is Jose Font. So I wanted to bring that up because I know that kind of similar to the Ashley Williams thing. Is he good enough? he obviously brings loads of experience. He just won the Euros, so I wanted to throw that at you guys. But yeah, I think as things stand right now, top two, I think I think that the start's going to be crucial, like you're saying. He's going to look at the schedule, and I think we'll be able to get some points from the first few games. Like I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, we have players in this team now that can win the game on their own. Martial, Zlatan, Mkhitaryan, now Pogba. Now I know Pogba probably won't play for a few games, but these are players that can produce a moment of brilliance and snag a game, 1-0 or draw a game late. So we'll have to wait and see, but I think we're going to be fine. I think we're going to be there or thereabouts all season, and maybe that's just overconfidence talking. I don't know.
I'm aware in the live comments that there was a lot of lag, and Joey sounded like a robot there, but I can't really cut him off when he's in the middle of it. Ashley Williams, but Chris, where do you think we're going to finish in the league? And I forgot. How do you think we're going to start?
I think we're going to start really well. I mean, I hope for the best, fear for the worst. I mean, I hope we're going to start really well. I really do think, and I really do think this, that Jose Mourinho has an ace up his sleeve. I really do think he knows the team he's going to put out, and he's going to shock everyone when we have Pogba on board. We obviously have, the defenders in place. We have the Mkhitaryan, Martial, Ibrahimovic, Rooney. I reckon we're going to start amazingly. Position-wise, where we're going to finish, I mean, I'm hoping for a top three. That is for the first season, top three. At least challenging by Christmas. If we're challenging by Christmas, I'll be very, very happy. Obviously, when we were at first place in the LVG area, and we thought that we were going to start putting up a challenge, and we were really hopeful. I knew we weren't going to put up a challenge. I saw the team. I thought to myself, do you know what? This is just doomed to fail. We're here at the moment. It's not going to work out. I knew that. But with Jose Mourinho, with his team he's put together, I really am confident. I think that we've now got the pieces of the jigsaw in place where we needed them. The spine of the team is coming along very, very well. I just think we're missing that last piece, which is defence. Once we get that one piece put in place, I really do think the challenge is on. And it's not only what we're buying, it's the other teams, what they're buying. You look at teams like Arsenal, and I know we don't want to talk about the other teams like Man City. I mean, the players they're buying, they're not that great. They're okay, but they're not that great. The players that we're buying are world class. And I think that means a lot. And I think, that shows the world that we're coming back, and we're coming back with fashion, and we're going to end up doing some business. So I'm really looking forward to it.
And we've got a world-class manager as well. And also, I think once the season starts, I've always felt that maybe second or third, but I know when the season starts, I know what Jose's like. Second is the first loser, so we could win the league. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Alex?
Jose's apparently already said that to all of them that we're targeting the league already. So if you're not targeting, then you're a loser. Basically, is what he's been saying. And with the signings we've made, in my opinion, we've made the best signings in the entire league. But the Europa League is always going to hold us back. It's such a weird thing. It's like when you play Champions League on your Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you go play in the Premier League on Saturday, you seem to be different to when you play Thursday and then playing on Sunday in the league. It's really weird. But it just depends completely on how we play in the Europa League, because I don't know how they've sold Zlatan and Pogba and Mkhitaryan coming to this league, but I don't know whether playing in the Europa League was part of the deal. It's like
money, innit?
Sorry?
It's just money.
No, I know it's money, but at the same time, do you reckon that we'll just play the likes of Rashford and Mata, if he is going to be a backup player, and the likes of that in Europa League, or do you think we'll actually play our first team in the Europa League?
I don't know. I mean, I hope we do. I hope we do just leave the Europa League on the side, because like you, I've got my concerns about how that would impact on our league form. And the league is, you win the Europa League, you get a cup, which is not really the European Cup.
I just think it was just play basically out the likes of Rashford. I think Rashford is good enough to fire us into, say, the quarterfinals or whatever whatever it starts to get into the knockout stages in the Europa League, and then we should start bringing the likes of Zlatan and Pogba and Mkhitaryan and everyone in.
But you know what? It's so congested in the Europa League towards the end when you're needing to win games in the league. Look what happened to Liverpool. I thought Liverpool had a great chance of top four, especially looking when it was against us, and they totally focused on the Europa League, and it's hilarious because they lost out and they didn't get Champions League. And every English club in the second half of the season of the Europa League, their league form has suffered. So I don't want anything to do with it, but that's my personal thought. But okay, I'm going to wrap it up there because we've gone long enough, and I have got to go over and do the United Stand extra time. But there are a few things I want to say before I say thank you to the guests. We're very close to 40,000 subscribers. When we do that, we will do the story of the United Stand on this channel, which is what some people wanted. And also Tuesday night, I think I don't know whether they're launching tomorrow or tonight. No, not tonight. Tomorrow night or Tuesday night. There's a new channel. It's called Fan TV. I was there at the studios in London on Wednesday. It's going to be on Sky and everything like that. We'll give you the full details tomorrow. I'm guesting on there on Tuesday, and there will be more United Stand people involved in that new channel as well, so keep an eye out for that. We will be back at 8:30 tomorrow as per usual. Joey wants to talk about the podcast.
No, I just want to remind everybody that it's relaunching hopefully this week, if not by the next week. So look out for that. It'll be on iTunes, and it will be a good one.
Yeah, cheers, and thanks for coming on, Joey.
Yeah, always glad to come on.
Chris, fantastic debut, right up there with Fellaini's first appearance. No, I'm only joking. I'd say more Ronaldo, if you can remember his debut. You know, real potential and talent there, and who knows what you could become.
Yeah, we'll get there. Thank you very much for having me on. Anyway, it's been a pleasure.
No, very smooth, and it wasn't, didn't feel awkward like some people did. Like I remember Alex's debut, but thanks for coming. Well, Alex only got on because he won a competition. Let's be honest, but he sort of became part of the scenery. Thanks for coming on, Alex. Are you stopping for the United Stand extra time, or are you too drunk and you're off?
Yeah, I'll be on in a United Stand extra time, so catch you in a few minutes.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks, everybody. If you're not on United Stand extra time, I know some countries can't. We're desperately trying to get you involved. We've spoken to YouTube about it. The link is in the video description, and if you are signing up for it already, you can obviously go over there. If you're thinking about it, you get a 14-day trial anyway. We're always doing these after the Sunday show now. I'm going to pop onto there. Alex is obviously gone, so I'll also say good night to you all. See you all tomorrow at 8:30, or on the extra time link in the video in about. I can normally do it in 2 minutes. I'm very fast. But thanks, everybody, and speak to you all soon.